could so many hearts to love persuade, this holy Son of Mary. Shepherds came and knelt in wonder there, seeing him in light beyond compare, and his eyes that told them all love was he, whom men called the Son of Mary. Oh, tell to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger laid could so many hearts to love persuade, this holy Son of Mary. Wonderful it was that Christmas day, how from far and near they came to pray, how from far they glimpsed his majesty, whom men call the Son of Mary. Oh, tell to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger laid could so many hearts to love persuade, this holy Son of Mary. Could it be that in that little one, Spirit's universal love did shine? If it's true he lives in you and me, whom men call the Son of Mary. Oh, tell to me this mystery, how a tiny babe in a manger laid could so many hearts to love persuade, this holy Son of Mary.
The voice of God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate ourselves ever more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready.
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
dearest friend,
dearest friend,
beloved God,
beloved God,
great Master,
great Masters,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we humbly and lovingly bow before thee.
we humbly and lovingly bow before thee.
Help us to prepare our hearts
Help us to prepare our hearts
for the coming of the Christ,
for the coming of the Christ,
the universal Christ love,
the universal Christ love,
Christ light,
Christ light,
and Christ bliss
Christ bliss,
in our body, mind, and soul.
in our body, mind, and soul.
And as we receive your blessing,
And as we receive your blessing,
make us your channel,
make us your channels,
that we may share your light
that we may share your light
in this world.
in this world.
Oh, peace.
Peace.
Good morning, friends. Have a seat. Happy early Christmas to us all. We're going to start with some music for you.
The Christ child's asleep, the silent Our pleasures and pains, our losses, our gains, have kept us long bound. The ropes of yearning hemmed us round. We dreamed of imposing on desert sand, flower gardens of beauty, verdant vales of delight. Imagination misted our sight. The freedom we would know, Christ offered long ago, and even from his slumbers those peace. All creatures here on earth, alive to their own worth, can welcome love and win their release. The Christ child's asleep, the silence is so deep that round about with hope in their eyes, the animals await, their breathing they await. They know their time has come to arise. For Jesus came on earth to offer second birth to all who would the blessing receive. The inner peace he brings can lift us on soul wings to soar in light and heaven perceive. Our pleasures and pains, our losses, our gains, have kept us long bound. The ropes of yearning hemmed us round. We dreamed of imposing on desert sand, flower gardens of beauty, verdant vales of delight. Imagination misted our sight. The freedom we would know, Christ offered long ago, and even from his slumber flows peace. All creatures here on earth, alive to their own worth, can welcome love and win their release. The Christ child's asleep, the silence is so deep that round about with hope in their eyes, the animals await, their breathing they abate. They know their time has come to arise.
As you continue to meditate, listen to these words on our affirmation for this week. God remembrance. To remember God means not only to think of Him constantly, but to realize that finding Him is an act of remembrance truly. For it is from Him that we have come. When the clouds of delusion evaporate from our minds, What will be left is what was there always, hidden behind the clouds, the blazing sun of divine consciousness. One should not strain nor reach outward mentally to think of God. Know that He has been yours always, nearer than your nearest thoughts and feelings, nearer than the very prayers you offer Him. Think not merely about Him, think to Him. Share with Him your passing feelings, your idlest fancy. Talk with Him. Practice His presence, at first perhaps for minutes a day, then for hours, and then all the time. Let's affirm together first in a strong voice. I will live in the remembrance of what I am in truth.
I will live in the remembrance of what I am in truth.
Bliss infinite.
Bliss infinite.
Eternal love.
Eternal love.
Now a little softer. I will live in the remembrance of what I am in truth.
I will live in the remembrance of what I am in truth.
Bliss infinite.
Bliss infinite.
Eternal love.
Eternal love.
And now in a whisper, but with even greater intensity, I will live in the remembrance of what I am in truth. Bliss infinite. Eternal love. And now silently broadcasting it from the spiritual eye, the point between the eyebrows, I will live in the remembrance of what I am in truth. Bliss infinite. Eternal love. Again, silently broadcasting, I will live in the remembrance of what I am in truth. Bliss infinite. Eternal love. And please pray silently with me. Lord, Thou art always with me. Help me to feel behind my thoughts Thy inspiration, behind my every emotion, Thy calm, all-transforming love. Om. Peace. Amen.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to all of our old and new friends, and welcome to those joining us online. My name is Dharmadevi, and this is Narayan, and I'm reading to you from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. What was the Star of Bethlehem? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Divine vision is the opposite of worldly sight. Divine vision sees God's presence behind all outward appearances. Worldly sight sees appearances merely coding even the blazing wisdom of a saint. A master to the worldly man is a human being with perhaps a slightly better attitude than the norm. The scriptures therefore strive to demonstrate how the divine consciousness, when openly active among men in the lives of great masters, must never be viewed as an expression of ordinary human consciousness. To seek the presence of divinity behind the life of a great master is to prepare oneself to recognize that same divinity also in lower manifestations until at last one beholds God everywhere. Thus it was that Paramahansa Yogananda, on observing his new disciple Swami Kriyananda, struggling with the contrast between the Guru's human appearance and his inner divine reality, looked at him deeply one day and said, "If you only knew my consciousness." The story of the birth of Jesus Christ contains an account in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 2, of the Star of Bethlehem. The wise men who sought Jesus in his manger said, "We have seen his star in the east, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was." This account was important, for it showed all mankind that Jesus was a divine incarnation and no ordinary man, that he brought divine consciousness to earth, even though he would play a human role among human beings, and that others too, by receiving him in their inner hearts, would acquire power, as the Bible puts it, to become the sons of God. The scriptures enjoin us to meditate on the lives of great souls, that we may discover our own latent spiritual greatness. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it in the 4th chapter, who knows the truth touching my births on earth and my divine work when he quits the flesh, puts on its load no more, falls no more down to earthly birth, to me he comes, dear Prince. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
I want to share from Whispers from Eternity. I think most know this book, but if not, this is Yogananda's book of prayer demands. And this one is, make me the drops of sympathy in all tearful eyes. May my spark commingle with thy great spark. May it twinkle in all eyes. Bless me, that I may swim in the sea of souls. Let me rush with thee on avalanches of noble desire. Let me feel thee in the budding hopes of all roseate minds, and in the silence of all saints. Let the tears of my sympathy commingle with the drops in all tearful eyes. Together thou and I will dance on the wavelets of all feelings. We will cheer every heart with divine delight. Let us throb in the life of all beings. This is such a beautiful and important topic for us, given that this is, in essence, our Christmas service. And, I was thinking, well, how do we talk about that intangible, invisible presence of God that's within us? And there's really no better way than coming off of the heels of the all-day meditation that we had yesterday. Some of you were here for it, or were here for parts of it. And you know that saying, we've all heard these. I grew up Catholic, perhaps some of you grew up Catholic, or grew up with some religion. We're inundated with Bible passages, and I always heard that passage, I am the way and the truth and the life. None comes unto the Father except through me. In fact, I remember one time I was interviewing Swami after he wrote this book, Revelations of Christ, and I said, Swamiji, we hear I am the way and the truth and the life. And I completely forgot the rest of the Bible passage. I had these notes. I was so nervous interviewing Swamiji. But we hear these things, but what do they actually mean? Your experience, our experience of God is the only way. I am the way and the truth and the life. None comes unto the Father except through me. That it's through that, the divine consciousness that's within us, the song that we sang at the beginning, the Christmas mystery, whom men called the Son of Mary. If it's true, he lives in you and me, that universal Christ consciousness, that the consciousness of divine love, the consciousness of infinite bliss, it resides within us. But the only way, this is where fundamentalism can creep in. The only way to that, it is true, is through our own divine experience. It's when churchianity comes in and says, well, if you don't accept Jesus Christ, then you're too bad. No, of course that's not what Christ meant. I remember this story of Swamiji when he was in Assisi, and the Ananda community there was small. And then as it grew bigger, then the local bishop, because it got bigger, he had to start lambasting them and calling Ananda, well, you're not true Christians. So finally Swami met the bishop there, and the bishop said, well, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And Swamiji said, yes. Do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God? And Swamiji said, yes. And the bishop was so impressed because Swami was so well educated, he spoke many languages. And then the bishop said, well, do you believe that Jesus Christ is the only Son of God? And Swamiji said, well, no, I think that God has effected his salvation through many. And then the bishop said, see, you're not a Christian. And Swamiji, rather than getting in an argument, said, well, I say I'm a Christian. You say I'm not. Why don't we leave it up to Jesus to decide? The true, that's the point, that the true custodians of religion are the saints. And that's why Krishna here is saying that if you know the truth of my incarnation, what is the truth of the incarnation of the avatar? That, it's like the Gita says, that I come when virtue declines and vice predominates. I incarnate, I take on a visible form to set righteousness on track again. And so that's what we have. We have the visible form of the avatar coming through Christ, coming through Yogananda, coming through the Buddha, coming through great saints and masters in all religions. And they're coming again and again to remind us, because I don't know about you, but I needed a severe wake-up call. Right? I needed like the smack in the face wake-up call. That's how I got into the spiritual path. Now, I'm sure we all can relate to that, right? The suffering that we experience in our life, of course, it feels painful when you're going through it, but the doctor, the surgeon isn't concerned about your pain. He's trying to, extract that disease to help you, to bring you back into health. And so it is for us that the masters are coming to shake us and awaken us from our disease of delusion. We've been this miasma, this hypnotism, has just overcome us. And so when a great avatar or an incarnation of God, which is just the only difference between the great ones and us, is that they have awakened, they have realized their divinity. And they're trying to shift our focus away from this limitation to our infinite reality of our own latent Christ consciousness. It just depends on, it's really where we put our focus and our attention. That's why Yogananda said, you've been focusing on the body, just shift your awareness, focus on the infinite. And then that's what we did yesterday. We focused on that infinite presence, and that's what we feel. What you see, we're carrying it with us. It's like a joke I heard. This woman comes into the library and she says, show me all your books on paranoia. And the librarian says, they're all right behind you. It's a joke. We're carrying it with us. We just have that hypnotism because that's what we see. So if we can just choose to see goodness. Of course, the world is filled with the darkness of hate, but it's for us to usher in this new yuga of Dwapara, this new age of divine energy. And that energy first has to be awakened within us. And that's why Yogananda and the great saints are coming to say, well, you commune with that divine energy within your own self. Remember that conversation, many of you know this story Yogananda had with that scientist, and he said, well, God is just infinite. He's vast. He's created these universes all over the place. How could he care about me and my little personal mundane needs and desires? And Yoganandaji replied, right, with ready wit. He said, your conception of infinity is too finite. The Lord is also infinitesimal, right? He reaches into the farthest depths of our own being. His consciousness is infinite not only outwardly but inwardly, right? He reaches to the heart of every atom, so that he knows our troubles, he knows our thoughts, he knows everything about us, and he understands, and he wants us to come back. And that's why the only thing that we really need to do on the spiritual path is just retrain our brain, open our heart to that presence. It's already within us. Dharmadevi and I stopped at this cafe. I was mentioning this the other day. It called the Golden Mean. And I looked at their menu, and it said the Golden Mean represents a mathematical equation, right? The pause between two extremes. And I thought, this was like a few days before the long meditation, I thought, wow, what a great preparation. It's the Christ consciousness, that pause between all the extremities of life, all the dualities of life. And that's why the masters are saying, just stop. Push the pause button and meditate. Go inside. Feel that presence of God within you. That is the way. It is the only way. Your experience of God is the only way home. And we'll reach that by going deeper and deeper and just following that, the vast unthrobbing heart of God. And in our daily life to just ask, well, how would you do it? How would you act here, Jesus Christ? How would you act, Master? How would you act, Swami? How would you act? That's why Yogananda gave that book to Swami, The Imitation of Christ. You know, it's to pattern our lives, not that we're parroting our lives, but in consciousness. How would one act if you were a divine being, if you are a yogi Christ? How would you act? And it's in our daily life that then that the fruit of our meditation can come out to blossom. And that's why there's that story of, well, in India they say if a pickpocketer sees a saint, he only sees his pockets. And if a saint sees a pickpocket, he sees a potential saint. So it was one day that there was this pickpocket, this man who stole things, and he was a hunter as well, and he would hunt things, and he would steal and hunt, and that's just how he went about his that's how he went about his living. And then he came across this saint one day who was doing his prayers down by the Ganges, and the man was doing his mantras and his Vedic rituals, and he was in the Ganges, and he was in such ecstasy. The sun was bathing him, was warming him, and he was in such harmony with nature that birds would even come and perch on his shoulder. And so this man, the hunter, stealer man, observed this saint from afar and said, wow, he's got these birds really close to him. If I could get them that close, I could just throw them in my gunny sack and take them. He said, well, what do I have to do? I need to act like the saint. So he put his orange robe on, he went down to the Ganges, and he started praying and doing his own prayer and ritual, and he just threw himself into it. He got into it. And he just started to notice all of a sudden that he felt this peace, and he felt this bliss from his own being begin to well up. And then birds too started to come on him, but he lost that desire to harm them and to take from them. And this is our story too. We all have that potential. No matter who we are, what our background, what our belief is, our experience of God is the way. And that way will come to us through meditation and through daily service and feeling the heart's natural love awakening. I wanted to close with what Swamiji shared on this topic. God, I said, is both infinite and infinitesimal. What makes divine love and Jesus Christ's love impersonal is only this: God wants nothing from you or me. Our human feelings, however, our human needs, our joys, and our griefs, you and I as human beings mean as much to him as they mean to us. For in truth, he is in us. God created everything from within. He became you. He wants nothing from you, Yogananda used to say, except your love. You are already as close to him as the greatest saint and master that ever lived. In that sense, indeed, the Protestant boast, "we're all saints," is valid. The only difference between you and Jesus Christ himself is that you are still, one supposes, a prodigal son, wandering in the land of delusion. Your thoughts and energies roam still far away from your true center. Within yourself, however, dwells the living Christ. That is why Jesus said, "Neither shall they say, 'Lo here,' or 'Lo there,' for behold, the kingdom of God is within you." Let's seek him within. God bless you this Christmas season.
Like a